Just let me mention these things and we will hear this stupid laughter coming from opposite. But none of that stupid laughter, Mr Speaker, can in any sense refute any one of the facts which I now put. Facts of achievement during the third term. In that period, Mr Speaker, Australia had record business investment levels, of which everyone in this country can be proud, and they were record business levels which were created by the explicit policies of this government. Very simple, Mr Speaker. What we achieved was very considerable real wage restraint. That led to higher profit levels which went into record investment levels. Secondly, Mr Speaker, Australia achieved its first public sector surplus, and that was the first time in the history of this government, in the history of this country. Mr Speaker, beforehand, when all those years of Conservative government, never once had you been able to achieve a public sector surplus. But we did it in the last government. We did it once, we did it again, and then we did it the third time. And, Mr Speaker, as a result of that, of course, it follows that the government made no call on the nation's savings. Next, Mr Speaker, we cut company tax rates from 49 cents to 39 cents. Next, Mr Speaker, we reorganised the taxation of superannuation. Next, Mr Speaker, we cut tariffs by around 30%. If you look at the whole post-war history of this country, Mr Speaker, there have only been 2 occasions on which tariffs have been cut, and both by Labor governments, by 25% under the previous Labor government and 33% by us 2 years ago, Mr Speaker. Next, Mr Speaker, we lowered assistance to sugar, tobacco, dried vine fruits and citrus industries. Next, we subjected many areas of telecommunication to competition, areas such as value-added services and customer premises equipment. Next, Mr Speaker, we established a new independent telecommunications regulatory body, Austel. Next, we deregulated domestic aviation, the product of your period of government, that cosy little relationship, the 2 airlines agreement. It was this government during its last term which brought that to an end. Next, Mr Speaker, we freed up oil pricing and marketing. Next, we brought in important reforms to government business enterprises. Next, we introduced vital reforms in grain handling, and we did it over the opposition of the Conservative parties in this country. Next, Mr Speaker, we made major changes to the Industrial Relations Act. Not all of you, there were some of you who saw the light, but we didn't have any problem on our side. The problem was between the Liberal Party and the National Party. Mr Speaker, we made major changes to the Industrial Relations Act. We oversaw the introduction of award restructuring, and we introduced major coastal shipping and waterfront reforms. In regard to coastal shipping, Mr Speaker, we'll have the situation where, as a result of the reforms brought about under this government in the last term, without losing one day to industrial disputation, in 1992 we'll have manning levels in coastal shipping in this country equal to the OECD average. Now, Mr Speaker, when you look at that list of achievements, is it any wonder that the Treasurer is somewhat concerned by some suggestion that we'd been dragging the chain? At the end of last year, I issued a challenge to you fellows, and there has been the thundering silence ever since. I asked you if you really were the custodians of some philosophy and some commitment to microeconomic reform. You would presumably be able to answer my challenge, which was very explicit. You tell me once within your period of government when you came within a bull's roar of that record of microeconomic achievement. And there's still the thundering silence to that challenge which I put to you at the end of last year. You can't do it, and you can't do it for the simple reason, one, that you didn't do it, but secondly, it was not an accident that in all your period in office you didn't do anything about microeconomic reform. It's because you've got neither the wit, the wisdom, the guts, or the facility to deal with the Australian community to bring those results about.